All right. Well, thank you very much for coming to participate to this very short debate. It's not really a debate, it's just an opinion. We call it conversation, crop conversation. And the topic today is root and tuber crops, food for tomorrow. And the principle is I'm going to ask each of you a question, and you can respond to that question for 5 to 7 minutes. We will record your responses, and then we will post this on the website, on several websites, maybe tonight, maybe later on. We don't know. Depends on communication facilities. So just to introduce the topic, as we showed this morning, root and tuber crops will play a very important role to feed the planet in the coming decades, probably much bigger than it was in the past. At least we believe that that's going to be the case. And the discussion today is to figure out, what is it that we need to do in order to effectively be in a position that we can use effectively these crops to feed the world. You have each a microphone now. I will ask each of you, before you answer the question, to give your name and affiliation or whatever you want, because we may eventually post each response separately. So today I'm going to ask Pamela the following question. According to you, is there enough investment in research and development made in these root and tuber crops in order to respond to the food demand in the coming decade? And don't forget to talk in the microphone like this.
Thank you, Claude.
It's on.
It's on. I'm Pamela Anderson. I am the SIP Director General Emeritus. I was the Director of Research and the Director General at SIP for 12 years before moving to agricultural development at the Gates Foundation. And now I am retired and a general advocate for root and tuber crops. Yeah, great question. I'm not sure there's any scientist or research director that ever thinks there's enough investment in the area that they're working in. And so the question that I think we should be talking about is, how do we think about this? What do we need to do to actually get more investment into root and tuber crop research and development? And I think we're challenged by some legacy from the 20th century. The Green Revolution was so successful that there continues to be, when you talk about agriculture and food security, almost a singular focus on rice, wheat, and maize. It is so frustrating for those of us working in this space. It doesn't matter where you go, the CGIAR, the World Food Prize, you're really talking about rice, wheat, and maize. And a bulk of the money still goes into those programs. So what is it that we need to do? In the Congress this morning, we started to talk about this. I mean, our crops have some incredible attributes, but as scientists, we tend to be very challenged in terms of really making the case. How do you take that incredible information and package it and get it into the hands of the people who are making policy and making decisions around money? So we need to be much bolder and much more aggressive around really selling the attributes of these crops and selling them, packaging them in the right way, getting to decision makers and convincing them they have got to explicitly put root and tubers into their production goals, into their food security plan, into the nutritional security plan. And if they do that, if it becomes institutionalized, you have a much better case for going and getting funding for it. So that's certainly one thing. And then the other thing I think is really important as we go forward is to think more about accountability. We're still struggling, and again, the legacy from the 20th century. We have an international architecture that is highly compartmentalized. I mean, if you just look at the international organizations, World Food Program does emergency work, the CG does the research, FAO and the national programs do deployment and development, and we're still struggling with linking the dots the way we need to, so that when we get the research outputs, we're really, really transforming that into outcomes and impacts that we document. We don't have the evidence base that we need to make our case, and even for the accountability to ourselves. Once we get all these incredible varieties out there, that's not enough. The so what question is, well, is anybody using them? If they're using them, are they working? If they're increasing productivity, is that giving us better nutrition or better economic situation? We've compartmentalized our work in a way that we're not tracking it, we're not monitoring and measuring. The donors are not putting money into M&E systems the way we need to. And so really pushing against some of those challenges. So we make the general case and sell that, but then through the specific work, we document it in a way that the results speak for themselves. And you can use that to really push fundraising.
Good. Thank you, Pamela.